Oh, Henshaw here again, Constitutional Coop headquarters, more with news and updates of ongoing happenings, especially with the 9/0 parts. This video, though, is going to deal with probably the worst offender of all of these so-called courts, ain't family law court. And as bad as it is in the criminal justice system, this looks like it's far worse. And to that extent, I want people to know that I'm now customizing some documents for family law court that'll make it even more effective. And point out the problems that they have, and there are a lot of them jurisdictionally speaking. You just can't do this. And this is a court that, in particular, relies on your application for social insecurity benefits, marriage license, driver's license comes into play here. Any kind of a license you have from the government. And Blackford Law Dictionary defines license as permission granted by competent authority to do an act that without such permission would be illegal, a trespass, or a tort. Now, think about that. We, the people who ordained and established this Constitution, to ensure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, hardly need the permission of our agents to do anything, do we? And that's where you start to get into the issues that I specialize in. The main two actually are the non existent 14th War Amendment and the fact there are no states remaining which were admitted into this union. And these are big time arguments in a family law court, even if they don't want to hear them and even if they don't want to file them. And I've got some customized documents for that too, ordering the presiding judge to file and or remove it to a judicial court in your jurisdiction, and these have to exist. If we have states admitted into this union, we either have judicial courts or every law on the books is a bill of attainder, the taking of life, liberty, or property, not to mention children, without judicial process. I mean, my goodness, these are the issues you need to be arguing out there, not this BS civil rights crap. And all that comes about with the 14th Amendment having created a subordinate body politic that was carefully concealed from anyone who ratified the amendment with a capital RAT. And that's the only jurisdiction these bastards have. That's it. There are no judicial courts anywhere in sight. So what we have to do, unfortunately, we're well situated here in California, although all other jurisdictions must be the same, even if not as clearly in black and white. But here we have the California District Court, and I'm in the midst of an ongoing battle now with the county clerk here and a couple of them actually to get our documents filed there, because once we do that, the ball game is over, because corporations can't come in there, and that includes mortgage banksters, by the way, because they don't exist in our jurisdiction and they can't compel us into theirs. Same said for state bar association attorneys, aka unregistered foreign agents. They're out of the mix too, unless we let them in there. And I don't know about you, but I have no intention of doing so. I mean, these people are declared under penalty of perjury that they owe what I call their birthright citizenship to the non existent 14th Amendment, and they have irreconcilable conflicts of interest with our rights secured by all 6 articles of the Constitution. This is the direction we need to be heading, and quickly. And a lot of us start doing it out there, and it won't take that many given the magnitude of the issues. Because the strength you have, people, is not just your case. If we get our issues timely filed, and the record will be unopposed, because they can't oppose it on the record, even if they had a way to do it, because it's going to convict them of treason to the Constitution. That's the U.S. Supreme Court saying that, as you'll learn, by the way, from getting my modestly priced constitutional defense document packets. Send me an email, uwinnincourt@gmail.com. I'll tell you all about it. And we go in there with some real issues, particularly our right to trial by jury according to the course of the common law, which is still available to inhabitants of territories, for crying out loud, yet nowhere in sight in your jurisdiction, especially in a family court. Ain't. This is what has to stop, and this may be the best place to kick it off to start out with, because now once we get it decided there, everything else necessarily follows, and that's the strength we have. That's how I beat my South Carolina case. Hauled me across the country, 4 different federal unmarked military aircraft. Took them 2 months. Could have put me on TWA and got me there in 8 hours. Who knows? But I knew what jurisdiction I was in, and I get in there, I stopped them dead in the first 30 seconds of my first appearance after having gotten there. That's $1 million video if I had it, but they claim not to have made one. This in a court of record. Ain't. Shut them up cold. I mean, they read the charges. I'm standing there shackled, hands and foot in a red jail suit, practicing law without a license. I laughed. I said, I don't practice it. I get it right the first time. And then the judge moved on, and I think she was one of the good ones, and said, well, we have to be determined whether you're competent enough to represent yourself. And if I could have thrown my hands up, I would have said, oh, and I did say Barthetta, Beretta v. California, Judge 422 U.S. 806. The problem with that is the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Barron v. Baltimore, 7 Peters 243, 1828, the Bill of Rights doesn't apply to the states. Shut the whole court. They were stunned into silence. I'm the one standing there shackled and hands and foot in a red jail suit. They're the ones in trouble with the law, and everybody knew it. That's a feeling you would kill to get. And I want to teach you how to learn to do it yourself, and you don't have to be near as good as I am. The ignorance on the other side is colossal. They just don't teach this stuff in law schools anymore. They don't think they need to. There's no constitution. All we have is a subordinate body politic that has no rights, that the de facto government is bound to respect. That's what we have to get rid of. Get rid of this civil rights crap, and you name it, and get back to our federated republican form of government of defined and limited powers. To be sure, I'm not saying it was perfect. It wasn't. But it's the best one ever created, and the only one based on the fact that human life had value and dignity. Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That's what they don't want you to know. As I'm sitting here in my 74th year, my life is ahead of me. There are people 40 and 50 years younger than me that don't feel that and may never get that feeling if they don't learn what they should have been taught in the mandatory public education system. They don't want you to feel that, because if you do, you start asking questions and you start asking some of the right ones, it's a real problem. And it doesn't take a lot of us to do it. That's the really good news there. And we set an unopposed record in the trial court with which I will help you come back and bite them in the ass and make them pay. And maybe more than that. Because these are actual treason. It's the U.S. Supreme Court saying it, people, not me. You'll learn all about that. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com, and learn about the original intent of the framers of the Constitution. It's a whole new world out there, especially in family court settings where they rely on your marriage license. You need a license to get married, and we have an unlimited power of contract secured by Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution and or the 9th Article of Amendment. How the hell does this work? These are the kind of questions we want to be asking these bastards, especially in family court. What's the actual foundation and legal basis for your jurisdiction and venue? And what we do is serve them just like we would do in a criminal case, and demand for a bill of particulars, because we're in at least a quasi-criminal setting in a commercial jurisdiction, aka Admiralty and Maritime, aka to the framers of the Constitution, a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws. How the hell did we get there? And that brings up the magic 4 words. Where is the consent of the governed? Ain't. Not anywhere in sight. We have a right to a trial by jury, to judicial process, to challenge the jurisdiction of the court from day one. None of it happens, and what you'll learn are administrative tribunals, not judicial courts. And that's why these official actors and all these other bastards that are in there don't have any immunity like they think they have. And that's where we're going to beat them, because they think nothing we can do about it. All we have is 42 U.S.C. 1983. civil rights BS. That's not what we'll be doing. On the surface, it could look like it in certain cases, but it's not. And I'm so good, I can beat them in their own corrupt courts with this crap. I mean, enough is enough here. And I want to get across the Red Sea and bring the rest of you with me. So that said, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. We'll talk about these family law issues. And it's astounding. It really is, especially there, what they think they can do. And yet you're going to find out this is all comes from a legislature in which we are not represented in any department. There is no electorate. There are no elections. There are no states. And we start getting these issues in there unopposed. What they should do is head for the hills, because that's where we're going to be sending them. They simply don't have any power at all. Like they say in CIA language, black is white. It's the exact opposite of what it looks like if you know your rights and how to present them. And that's my job. I will help you do it. And you get my materials, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. You get a lot of support from me, including complimentary phone consultations, as much TLC by email as time and circumstances permit, complimentary updates on all materials, and even a complimentary Zoom appearance at a contested hearing with me testifying as an expert witness on the Constitution. They can't have that happen. So that said, what we all have to do in the end here is work together, cut out this divide and conquer crap they've been doing for at least 150 years, get the hell away from civil rights, the 14th War Amendment, all of it. Get much better issues in there under all 6 articles of the Constitution. You'll be absolutely amazed. And I would have been 50 odd years ago if they'd have taught this stuff in high school like they should have been doing, and like you should have heard when you were there. Doesn't happen. It's not the way the system is set up anymore. Used to be. I have one of my grandmother's hand-me-down textbooks from the late 19th century, and it looks like a college textbook by today's standards. But then they only went to school for 6 years, most of them in that era. And she herself became a teacher in a one-room schoolhouse a little later on, before she settled down and had kids and all that. But and she told my mom, take good care of me. I was one of the smart ones through and through, and I don't know what she saw in me at that age. And when passed away before I was 12 years old, I would have taken a trip with her to Philadelphia the next year to go to Constitution Hall and other places, and my life would have been changed there and then. Didn't happen. Better late than never, however. And I'm ready to go out there and take care of business now and teach you how to do the same thing. And when you learn that, you can teach your kids, your posterity, and get them out from under. And if we all work together, we can get them off our backs. Remember to subscribe, like the videos, tell your friends, get the word out. We can do this. I can help you to do it. Thank you.